Hey, happy Monday, everyone. Glenn Kellaway from the basement, ready to start another week. I came up with this idea. Um, I'm calling it the birth of the classic rock era, 1964 to 1970, in 16 albums. So I've gone back to what I think is the time frame where everything evolved. 1964, 1970. Of course, you can go back to Elvis and Chuck Berry and all that stuff, but for the sake of rock music as we know it, it pretty much started with the Beatles coming to North America. That's when everything exploded. And so that's where I'm starting. I'm stopping in 1970 because I think everything important happened in those 6 years, and everything that happened afterwards was as a result of those 6 years. So now, of course, I'm leaving out a million albums and a million different artists. I know the comments are going to, you forgot to mention this, you didn't mention that, this needs to be mentioned, what about this? I'm trying to keep this simple. Okay, now we're going to start in 1964 with the Beatles. Now, we had, assorted North American releases, with the Beatles, Meet the Beatles, in Canada, the Twist and Shout album and all that. Um, I think really the starting point should be the UK version of A Hard Day's Night. The first Beatles album with all original songs. Um, the movie was huge. It really gave us some kind of a superficial glimpse into the life and personalities of the band. And I think this album I'm choosing as my starting point. Next, we go to 1965. Who's trying to figure out how to turn folk music into rock music? It would be Mr. Bob Dylan. Um, he kind of, the story goes, whether it's true or not, is him driving around and hearing I Want to Hold Your Hand and songs like that and going, yeah, I could take my lyrics and my folk perspective and use electric instruments. Now that's kind of the basic of it. There's more to it than that, but that's pretty much it. And so we have this important album, Highway 61 Revisited. Um, this is got like a Rolling Stone on it, which is probably the most influential 45 ever released. Just for the length of the song, that start with that drum beat and the lyrics, and it really was a game changer. So Highway 61. Now also in 1965, we've got, I'm just going to turn these around a little bit so I can get at them easier. 1965, California, The Byrds, Roger McGuinn, David Cassidy. Yeah, the Partridge Family are huge. No, David Crosby. Mr. Tambourine Man. They start doing Dylan songs and incorporating that Rickenbacker 12-string guitar sound. Oh my God, which I think they kind of got, Roger got that sound kind of from listening to the Beatles and George Harrison's guitar style. Um, we get the folk rock era coming in huge, very influential. Also that year, you got to think of blues. How did blues get, like, I mean, the Stones came in with some albums to start. That was kind of my introduction to blues, but I didn't know it was blues. I thought it was Rolling Stones music. But in 1965, Paul Butterfield Blues Band starts carrying the torch from all those great black artists that are in Chicago, the Muddy Waters and Little Walter and all those dudes. And they came up with this album. Blues are starting to mix in. That's 1965. 1966, more blues. Go back to Britain, John Mayall with Eric Clapton, the Beano album. Eric Clapton had left the Yardbirds, which wanted to turn into a pop band, and he wanted to play the blues and went to John Mayall's Blues Breakers. Fantastic album. You think who else is in this? Mick Fleetwood and John McVie become, I don't know if Mick Fleetwood is, but John McVie is in this band. Peter Green would be in this band. Mick Taylor would be in this band. Unbelievably influential. That same year, Clapton leaves the Blues Breakers and joins up with Ginger Baker and Jack Bruce, who are also in that scene playing with Alexis Corner and a few other dudes, some jazzy, kind of rocky stuff, and they form Cream. Now we're getting that blues rock trio coming in. Huge. 1966, so influential, this album. 1967, from Fresh Cream to Jimi Hendrix. Talk about a blues rock trio. Talk about a game changer. The Jimi Hendrix Experience opened everyone's eyes to how you could play a guitar. Also, The Summer of Love, Sgt. Pepper, the greatest album ever made. What an influential thing this was. If you were around in 1967, you couldn't walk from one house to the next without hearing this album. It just brightened the world. It really was like so hard to explain what an effect this album had on people. But you look at the way they designed the cover, the recording techniques, putting lyrics on the back, gatefolds, inserts, the music itself. I mean, unbelievable. Now we also got the West Coast, San Francisco, The Summer of Love. The first band signed to a major label out of that San Francisco, Haight-Ashbury area was Jefferson Airplane. Now we're branching out into all the psychedelic stuff. Man. 1968. Let's start with this. Music from Big Pink, the band. Totally out of nowhere. Completely different from any of this. I'm showing you Jimi Hendrix and Sgt. Pepper and albums like that. And then this comes out. It's like the first Americana album, really. And so influential. Eric Clapton said when he heard this, changed everything for him. George Harrison flew over to hang out because he was so in love with this music. Changed the way he thought about music. And Jeff Beck Truth album. Jeff Beck had left the Yardbirds, had this idea coming up with this heavy blues rock sound. Put this band together, Jeff Beck Truth. Jimmy Page plays on this album on Bolero. And you listen to this album, this is the father of Led Zeppelin. This is the seed of that sound. 1969, Speak of the Devil. Jimmy comes out with, forms Led Zeppelin. Total game changer. The music's getting heavier. It's still bluesy. Crazy, crazy. This album, another game changer. This was so influential, this album. And also in 1969, you get In the Court of the Crimson King, the father of prog rock. Now we're going to head in that direction. We're going to start adding classical music, jazz, experimental stuff, wacky chord progressions, interesting lyrics, whatever. In the Court of the Crimson King. My God, 1969. And now we're getting to the last year. Oh, one more for 1969. Crosby, Stills, and Nash, the debut album of the supergroup. David Crosby from the Byrds, Stephen Stills from Buffalo Springfield, Graham Nash from the Hollies. They get together and come out with this kind of pretty much acoustic, Laurel Canyon, Southern California sound that evolved really into the Eagles and Jackson Browne and all the singer-songwriter stuff that came out of that whole scene. Unbelievable. And in 1970, this is the last year, I'm showing 2 albums that were game changers. Black Sabbath, arguably the first heavy metal album. You know how that changed everything. That was as a result of what came before. Unbelievable. And finally, Miles Davis' Bitches Brew. Now, Bitches Brew was a result of Miles listening to Hendrix, listening to Sly and the Family Stone, and this album, and yet the people who Miles was playing with would form so many bands throughout the 70s, all that jazz fusion stuff. You're talking John McLaughlin, Herbie Hancock. There's just a ton of them. Unbelievable. Okay, that is the evolution of classic rock from 1964 to 1970. I'm tired. Take care. And remember, don't force friends to listen to the Beatles.